Alrighty guys, what's going on everybody? Welcome back here to another weather update, my friends. Hope everyone is doing good out there. Hope everyone is doing well. Good to have y'all here for another update. So we got some information for y'alls. We got ourselves a bit of stuff we are going to talk about here regarding severe weather. We got a couple of storm systems that we are watching. Of course, the one for next week, which we'll get into. We got the one for today that is still kind of ongoing here. But anyways, folks, hope everyone is doing well. Good to have y'all here. Let's go ahead and see who we got here for today. We got ourselves here. First of all, let me go ahead and turn down my camera. It seems to be very bright. There we go. Let's like lower the brightness a little bit. Sometimes it can get pretty bright. But anyways, we'll see what we got here today. We got Stormwatcher, we have Phantom, we have Peachy, we have Sydney, we have Isaac, Paxton, we have, let's see here, Has-Been, we have Frankie, we have Awaken, Tabletop, April, Chairlandy, let's see here, and of course, Mark's here. What's up, guys? And everybody else who is here but just not chatting. Hope everyone is doing good. So, we do have ourselves a little bit of severe weather for today. Let's go ahead and activate these warnings just to get those up there. We do actually have a severe... I can't even English. We actually do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect just northeast of Houston here. Little potential for some gusty winds up to 60 miles an hour and a little bit of hail. So we do have an active threat tonight across portions here of Texas, Louisiana, a little bit of southern Arkansas, portions of central southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, southern Georgia, northern Florida. Got a little marginal risk today, and of course there is going to be potential for tornadic activity, unfortunately. We do have ourselves a 2% risk out there for tornadic activity here across the areas in green, which is a relatively low in threat. It's only a 2% chance, so if you're in that green area, basically there's a 2% chance of a tornado happening within a 25-mile radius of your location. So, the odds of getting tornadoes is pretty low. The good news today is that if we did get tornadoes, they would likely be weak. They would likely be brief-lived, too. They likely wouldn't be anything long-lived or anything super crazy. So that is certainly good news. But we can't rule out some tornadic activity tonight. Also, damaging winds. We got this big old 5% region here as well. So we're going to have to watch out for some gusty winds on these storms as well throughout tonight here, because a lot of the events are actually going to be overnight. And so we're going to have a lot of the storm activity overnight for some of these regions here. 5% chance out there, like we mentioned here, for some damaging wind gusts up to right around 60 miles an hour in terms of maximum wind gusts here. And regarding to hail, we do got a bit of a hail threat here as well for portions of Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, eastern Texas here as well. 5% chance here for hail. Basically just, looking at potential with between 1 and 2 inches in diameter being a possibility. Let's see here. What's up, Van? Hope you're doing good. Frankie says happy Saturday. What's up, man? Hope you're doing all right. What's up, Jim? What's up, Mazio? Hope you're doing good. What's up, Frankie? Chairlandy says, howdy from southwest Oklahoma, raining good. Yeah, you guys have actually got a little bit of winter weather expectancy out there. We do have some winter weather advisories actually in effect for, depends on how far, you said southwest you are, so, depends on how far southwest you are actually. Let me pull up radar, see if we can get that up and running real quickly. I'm really curious to see kind of what we're seeing here. So we do have a little bit of winter weather expected here until 4 a.m. Sunday. Some areas could pick up a couple of inches here. Amarillo is actually under a winter storm warning here. So anyways, a little bit of winter weather is going to be possible out there. Just wanted to let you all know in that. But yeah, the good news is that a lot of this severe weather activity we did have for like north central Texas as well as like southern Oklahoma is gone. Is relatively out of the question. So that's definitely some good news. Let's see here. Will this severe risk next week hit coastal North Carolina? Tabletop, like you mentioned in the video earlier, it's just too early to tell. I mean, obviously, that next big event that we're talking about, which we'll get into here in a moment, the next big event is going to be taking place right around the 15th. So that's like the middle of the month. And there's a lot of things that can still change with that system. It still is a little bit early, to be honest. But, guidance, I mean, hey, models have been consistent, man. They have been for days at this point. Like the GFS has been very consistent in the models, of that storm system happening. Same thing with Euro even too. The European model now recently has been very consistent on that other storm developing out there. So we're going to really need to look out there for that. But anyway, so a little bit of a threat today. Tomorrow, once again, we do have a little bit of a threat for severe weather across southern Georgia. A little bit of southeastern Alabama towards Dothan or is it Dothan? Dothan. You guys are in that risk out there in northern Florida. So there's, going to be the possibility tomorrow as we continue to see that low pressure system in the south work its way over, further to the east here. There is going to be a little bit of severe weather, and unfortunately there is a little bit of a tornado threat here as well for tomorrow. We do have a continuation of that 2% risk out there. This is mostly for folks up in Florida, though, for like northern Florida. This includes portions of the Panhandle and just really northern Florida in general. We do got this 2% chance. So, a couple of tornadoes we cannot rule out tomorrow. The good news, like we mentioned, though, like it applies for today as well with that tornado risk, is that if we did get tornadic activity, it would likely be brief, meaning not long-lived. It would also likely be relatively weak, too. Meaning that, they're not going to be that strong, more than likely. They're likely going to be weak and brief spin-ups if we did get some tornadic activity here. So that applies tomorrow as well. And also, once again, damaging winds will be a concern too. Just some gusty winds up to 60 miles an hour being possible. And in terms of hail, we got ourselves a 5% chance for hail. Now, the actual, the threat for southern Georgia is actually mainly just going to be hail. And not really damaging winds as much or tornadic activity. The damaging winds and the tornadic activity is mostly going to be in Florida, while a lot of the hail threat is going to be between Florida and Georgia overall. So that's that. Now, the thing is, as of now, let me actually go ahead and bring up the actual SPC's page here real quickly with you guys. So this is their page here. So we just got a new outlook here from SPC. So this is our risk that we have for today. Like we mentioned, little 2% tornado risk here, damaging winds 5%, hail 5%. So then we work our way into Monday. So across the Carolinas, across the coastal Carolinas and central southern Florida, we're going to have the shot for some thunderstorms here for Monday. The good news is that it is going to be non-severe. Okay, so if we do get some thunderstorm activity, it is not going to be severe. So that is definitely going to be some good news. So for Monday, we're looking pretty good. But then things change a little bit here. We work our way into Tuesday. Potential's too low. Not expecting any severe weather on Tuesday. But look at the wording. I want you guys to pay attention to the wording here. See how it says potential too low here for Tuesday? If we look at Wednesday, it goes to predictability too low. Now, potential too low and predictability too low mean two different things. Potential too low means that there's no potential for severe weather. We're not expecting severe weather. Predictability too low, it just means it's a little early to tell. So, with that being said, and as we've been looking at the models earlier, we did a video and everything like that for you guys earlier today. Wednesday, there might be some storms down here towards like Arkansas, which, we'll get more into the models here in a moment. But just remember, predictability too low. It's just a little too early. That also applies for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. All of those being predictability too low. To be honest with you guys, this is my opinion. Take this how you want. Wouldn't be surprised if we wake up to some form of a risk here tomorrow. Wouldn't be surprised. So we'll have to see, though. We'll have to see how that plays out. But like we mentioned, there's been a lot of consistency in the models, like the GFS, the Euro, super consistent lately, and showing that storm system. It's definitely been very consistent, which is a good sign, and definitely good for confidence. So confidence is getting high. What's up, Swanky? Hope you're doing good. Paxton says, get Andrew to 30K. I'll be greatly appreciated. We're getting close, man. We are close. Just a couple hundred off. Let's see here. What's up, Tom? Saying, always doing well. Life's too short for anything. That's very true, man. Hope you're doing good, Tom. Mark says, like button. Oh, you. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. But anyway, so that's that. Let's go ahead and hop into models, guys. Let's go ahead and talk about the models. So we're going to look at the GFS first, and then we'll dive into Euro. Obviously it's good to compare models. You never really want to just go off of one model. I know a lot of people who like to do that, which is just really not how you forecast. You need to take all models in consideration, or at least the main ones into consideration. So, with the storm system we have in the south, now believe it or not, we're actually going to be getting a pretty good amount of rain out of this here for southern Georgia and northern Florida. We talked about this earlier in the video as well, in which we are going to be seeing some areas over 3 inches. Let me actually go ahead and bring that up real quickly for you guys. Let's go ahead and do that real fast. Because I want to show you guys the latest map here, because, we are going to see it. I mean, it's not the end of the world, of course, but it is going to be, at least a little bit of a flooding potential, and, pretty good amount of rainfall here. So, over the next 72 hours, let me bring you guys over here real quickly, back to the main screen. So this is the expected amount of rainfall within the next 72 hours, so the next 3 days. And you can kind of see we have this area here in southern Georgia, 2-3 inches or more, maybe up to 3.5 in some areas could be possible. The greatest amount of rainfall is going to be between northern Florida and southern Georgia, in which, actually the latest forecast does include maybe even a little bit of coastal South Carolina, possibly getting above that 2-inch margin. So that is that. There could be definitely a decent amount of precipitation out there. Then, of course, you got this pink line here. This basically represents where we could see about 1 inch or more. So keep that in mind there. But, yeah, it really, not a whole lot of rainfall, widespread, I should say. But, locally to southern Georgia, northern Florida, that's going to be a pretty good amount of rainfall, and maybe even coastal South Carolina. But anyways, hopping back to models, though. So like we mentioned, yeah, we have that storm system that'll be rolling through. And once we approach our way into the 13th here, the 12th and 13th, you notice we start to get a lot of precipitation falling across those upper elevations of like California. Snowfall is what I mean. Also a lot of snow in some of those upper elevations throughout like Nevada, Idaho. The upper elevations of the Rockies really getting a pretty good amount of snow, while the lower elevations getting a bit of rainfall, as we do have this storm system that does roll through. This will be right around the 12th into the 13th here. And then once we approach the 14th, we start to really develop a strong area of low pressure here just off the eastern Rockies, working its way here into the plains, the Great Plains here. So this is where everything's really going to start to begin. And, around this time, what happens with these storm systems here is you really start to pick up a lot of moisture and a lot of warm air from the Gulf. So that's going to, increase those temperatures. You're going to notice things warming up a bit before this big severe weather event potential. And then, of course, like we mentioned here, behind it, actually cool air comes down, from these systems here. It's like a big stirring pot, essentially. You got the warm air coming up, and then you get some of that cooler air coming in on the backside. So that'll be, there's a lot of mechanics going on here, with this storm system. So that is something I do want to point out, though, is you guys are going to notice those temperatures increase a bit. But then we approach our way into the 15th, and you can see stuff starting to happen here. Yeah, right around the 15th. GFS here. Please note, this is one model. This is one model run, so take this with a grain of salt specifically because, this is probably going to change a little bit. But this signal has been here for days at this point. So, confidence, once again, is very high that something like this is going to happen. First of all, on the northern side and on the back end of that system here, we could have a lot of winter weather. Areas out there in like the central and northern plains, and I'd even say the upper Midwest should just keep an eye out there for that, as there could be some snowfall associated with this upcoming system here. But one of the main things actually that I really want to talk about is how far up severe weather might actually be for this storm system. This storm has what we call a huge warm sector. So a lot of warm air really penetrating deep into the country here. In which, that's going to actually potentially allow for maybe even some severe weather pretty high up into the country. When we were looking at the models earlier on the video we made, a lot of models were suggesting that we could have instability for thunderstorms and potential severe weather as high up as like the Ohio Valley and whatnot. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But anyways, yeah, you can really see this this long cold front here, possible just big line of storms rolling through here right around the 15th and whatnot. But, so like I mentioned, we have been seeing this in the last model before this. Every frame that we go through here, this is one model run. So you can see that the last several model runs here have been very consistent on this storm system happening. So this is, the GFS has been very consistent on that. In terms of the European model, though, I mean, you can see that, it looks a little different, but the general idea is still there. A really large storm system kicking its way off here across, the Central Plains and the Midwest. Once again, possibly driving a bit of snowfall and a bit of rain and whatnot. So definitely keep that in mind. And with the storm system like this, too, kind of similar to that last storm we had that drove a little bit of severe weather in the south that we just had with those enhanced risks that we had a little bit ago. This could be kind of a similar setup. Because that storm had a very strong area of low pressure, and there was a lot of strong winds on that system. And, if this did occur, it would be pretty similar to that, because you can see just how strong that low gets. There really could be, quite the drop-off of pressure, which, could allow for some pretty strong winds and whatnot to occur. So, anyways, a bit of winter weather, and also, like I said, a bit of severe weather as well, possibly pretty high up into the country, which we'll have to look into. Anyways, let me get to the comments real quickly. Stormwatcher says, how have I been this evening? I've been okay. I've been doing okay. Hopefully doing good as well. What's up, Rain? What's up, Gaming? Hope you're doing good. Is Jacksonville, Florida getting hit because my friend lives there, says Sydney? So Jacksonville... It's too early to tell with the storm system, if that's what you're talking about. But we do have a risk tomorrow for Jacksonville. We got a little marginal risk here tomorrow. 2% chance for tornadoes, 5% chance for damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour, and a 5% chance for hail between 1 and 2 inches in diameter. So there is going to be the possibility for a little bit of severe weather out there by Jacksonville. It doesn't mean it will happen, of course. It just means that, there's a possibility, some severe weather capable of those hazards will be possible in the area here tomorrow, So we have a bit of a disturbance rolling through the south right now, which could drive a bit of severe weather. Actually, it's kind of kicking off right now. We do have a storm out just northwest of Beaumont, currently severe warned here. Quarter hail, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and whatnot, but kind of marginalized severe. Let's see. Am I expecting any bad weather here in Wisconsin? So it depends. It depends, what this upcoming storm system could do. I don't think severe weather would reach it that far up. From what I've been seeing here, I think, honestly, if any impact, it would probably be winter weather. But I cannot confirm that at this time because of how much things can change, from this point forward. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that can really, change by then, essentially. Oops. Anyways, so that is that. Let me go ahead and bring up this model here real quickly. We're going to bring up the GFS real fast with you guys. And we will bring up the south temporarily. We'll also get into the other system here in a minute. What's up, Court? Hope you're doing good. So yeah, just a little bit of instability, relatively localized. Here you can see to the coast, to the Gulf Coast here, which the system won't really be anything super spectacular. But you know what? Like we mentioned, though, looking at the instability here, this is how much fuel we potentially could have in the atmosphere. I mean, you look at this. I mean, there could be some thunderstorm fuel, instability as high up north as, towards the Great Lakes even. Let's see, mixed layer cape here. Yeah, dude, honestly, I mean, look at that. Yeah, the latest GFS model has thunderstorm fuel, just instability for storms, fuel for storms, working its way up possibly even into, like, Illinois and Wisconsin. Take that with a grain of salt right now. Once again, we're still kind of early in the models here, but dang, dude. Just wow. Yeah, that's quite a strong low there. That is quite a strong low. I mean, that's a really strong storm to be able to bring up that amount of moisture, and instability that high up into the country for this time of the year. I mean, yeah, it happens, but that takes a lot of energy to do that. That does take a lot of energy to do that. And especially down south, there could be a pretty good amount of instability in place. Now, what really kind of concerns me is those lower level winds you can kind of see at that same time. I mean, we do have a pretty strong lower level jet stream here. And the thing about these lower level winds is that they can be a problem for tornadoes. They can. And early signs from the GFS here suggest maybe 40, 50 knots of lower level winds, which is strong enough for tornadic activity. Of course, it's not the only thing that contributes to tornadoes, but it's a big part of it, is those lower level winds for sure. So in the lower atmosphere, yeah, those winds are really moving to the north here. And if we take a look at our mid-level winds, you kind of notice here how those wind directions change a little bit. You can kind of see how the wind direction changes more to the northeast the higher you go up in altitude. So as we gain elevation, the winds are changing their direction more to the northeast, which that gradual change in wind direction and an increase in wind speed with altitude gives you rotating thunderstorm potential. And we can really measure a lot of this with like helicity. Helicity is very important for looking at tornadic activity, which we'll go ahead and bring up here real quickly. Storm relative helicity here. 2, 3, 4, 500. I don't know about 500, but 400 upwards of. Once again, it is too early to take this too serious right now. Just because of how early it is in the models and stuff. But at this point in time, like we mentioned, though, I mean, we definitely know that this storm is likely going to occur at this point. Just because of how consistent the models have been. Like the GFS for the last several days has been constantly model run after model run saying this storm will happen, this storm will happen, this storm will happen. And even now the European model, the Euro, the ECMWF, is saying the same thing. It might be a little bit different looking than the GFS, but the general concept is there between the GFS American model and the ECMWF, a European model. So there is agreement in that sense. So we'll see. We'll see. What's up, April saying, what's up, everybody, and good evening. What's up? Hope you're doing good. Thomas says, do I think we will get high winds next weekend in Chicago? To be honest, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it, to be honest. Just at this point, knowing how consistent the models are, I would not be surprised because you can see, let me actually zoom into the upper Midwest here. So you see these lines here. We call these isobars, which they represent a line of equal pressure, constant pressure here. And so the closer that these lines are together, the quicker the pressure drops off with distance. It means that the pressure changes more in a shorter distance the closer that those isobars are together. Meaning that the flow is stronger. And the flow, what I mean by that is the winds. So that's, with that storm system rolling through, and if we do get a strong low positioned around this area, potentially that strong, I would have no doubt in mind that there would be some strong winds out there towards a lot of these areas here, not just in, Chicago or whatnot, but not confirming it for sure yet, but very likely. There would very likely be some heavy winds and stuff with this. Out there by the Midwest as well, the Great Plains, likely really seeing some strong winds and stuff out there, Very, very likely. And like I mentioned, we got to watch out for winter weather. If I was out there in the northern plains, like North South Dakota, Nebraska, even like Minnesota, Wisconsin, even, I would keep an eye out there for the possibility for winter weather. I think it could be possible. The models have been pretty consistent on that. So that was the Euro. The GFS you can kind of see here showing, pretty much the same thing here. Really not a lot of differences, but just general concept still being very strong low area of low pressure, winter weather on the backside, possibly some severe weather pretty high up into the country, just because of how strong this area of low pressure is, just because of the pure magnitude of the storm system, could really allow for, a lot of that severe thunderstorm activity to really could potentially work its way up into like the Midwest and maybe even the Ohio Valley, which we'll have to see. Let's see here. Caitlin says, can I look at 68005, please? Yes, I can. We're not doing too many zip codes right now. See, this is up in Nebraska. Yeah, so since there is no SPC outlook yet for this event here. They still have it as predictability too low because they're just kind of waiting to get a little bit more information before they issue these risks. And since there is no risk right now, we're not going to really do full-on zip codes at the moment because, once we get those risks in place, once the Storm Prediction Center does issue those risks, then we will do more zip codes. However, for this area in Nebraska, this region could definitely be impacted by this storm system here. Obviously, it's, too early to be specific, but I would say one of the most likely things that would be definitely noticeable in your area would likely be strong winds. That really applies for a lot of people with this storm system. If we get a strong low pressure system of this magnitude, that would cause strong winds for a lot of people, including you potentially. So we'll just wait till SPC actually issues those extended range risks, which like I mentioned, in my opinion, I would not be surprised if we had those out by tomorrow morning. That's my opinion. We'll have to see how SPC handles this. It's entirely up to them. But just don't be surprised if you wake up tomorrow to seeing a risk there. What's up, Patty? Hope you're doing good. Let's see here. Greetings from Louisville. I used to live out there. Hope you're doing good. See, do I think that Long Island, New York would have a chance for severe weather on the system? It's too early to tell, especially for the East Coast because, that takes another day or two for the storm to, extend into the east. Too early. Simply too early. We can't specifically pinpoint exactly who will and who will not see severe weather right now. But from what the early signals are showing us is that a lot of people could be seeing severe weather. And especially, like I said, as we get to the East Coast, it's an additional 1 or 2 days to get there, more on top of that. This system is, still pretty decent ways out, and there is plenty of time to prepare for it. So as of now, just too early for the East. Let's see here. What's up, WWT? Hope you're doing good. Caitlin says, thank you. No problem. You're very welcome. Very welcome. Thanks, Court. I appreciate that. April says, lucky this early March, not late March, April. Situation, a weak potential heat storm system. Gotcha. Yeah, we got to start getting used to this, guys. This stuff is going to become more and more common, as we do continue to work our way into this month. March, that's really when things start to pick up. March and, of course, April, May, that's like the heart of severe weather season. So we got to get used to it. We got to start to get our severe weather shoes on because a lot of this is going to become more common. What's my thoughts on Northeast Oklahoma? So once again, to be specific, for specific areas here as of now, it's just a little too early. There possibly could be some impacts with that storm system that rolls through. You can see, if this really did play out like the GFS and Euro, are suggesting here, once again, those isobars are pretty tight, representing that the pressure is drastically changing with distance, which that would mean likely some strong winds and whatnot. Let me look at the lower level winds here. Yeah, you can look at that for yourself, and you can kind of see that a lot of the plains, the Midwest, would likely have some strong winds. This is sustained winds in some spots of possibly 30 knots or more. That's pretty fast. That's pretty fast wind. Of course, that's not counting for wind gusts either. Just early signals here. There would definitely likely be a lot of winds on this. Once again, you can see just how those isobars are. Like I mentioned, it's just they're pretty tight, which this thing would almost certainly be a wind event for a lot of people. Kind of similar to that last event, to be honest with you. Yeah, it is too early for specific locations right now. Once again, like I said, for the people just joining us, whenever we do get that risk from the Storm Prediction Center, so whenever SPC does issue those outlooks, which once again could be tomorrow, we'll have to see, just whenever they do, then we will be able to be a little bit more specific. Obviously I heavily rely off of SPC, and obviously these main agencies, as they give really good information. And this is the Weather Service, and the information that we get off of them is what you need to go off of. But we're just kind of waiting for that right now, because they've mentioned it already in the SPC. They already know about what's going on, and they're definitely watching it as close as we are. And since models have been definitely more consistent lately, I really wouldn't be surprised if here soon we start to see some of those risks being added. So we'll see. Do I think eastern Oklahoma is done with the snow? It's honestly too early to tell, to be honest. It is a little bit too early to tell, to be quite honest with you, if you're going to be done with the snow or not. Because, out of this upcoming storm system here, some areas could actually get some snow. Just a little too early, I'm not going to say yes, and then you get a crazy event where it does snow. It can happen, but it's just, most of the snow is done, I would say, though. But we'll see. Anything past this is just a little too far out. And once again, we can't be too specific right now. Let's see here. Said the tornado season could be quite interesting. I agree. Yeah, especially for the Gulf Coast. Oh, definitely. Definitely. This year, honestly, I really do believe we're going to get some pretty nasty activity towards the Gulf. Yeah, we are definitely kind of leaning towards that. It's already the beginning of March, and we've already had a bit of severe weather out of this, We've had some severe weather already this season, and the main season hasn't even begun yet. But, yeah, honestly, I do really believe that a lot of the Gulf Coast will, see a pretty good amount of severe weather, especially once we work our way later into this month, I think, in, April. I think we'll really start to see a lot of, nasty weather really developing in the south. But, we'll keep you guys updated with it. Whatever information that we do get, we'll keep you guys informed with everything. Anyways, hopping back over here. So, yeah, like we mentioned, back to the GFS here overall, you can see that there is going to be a lot of potential unstable air, a lot of instability for these storms, really penetrating deep into the country here. Euro also agrees. You can kind of see here at the ECMWF, the European model also shows a lot of instability, even managing to work its way up towards the Midwest, and once again, maybe even the Ohio Valley and stuff, So, there is consistency there. There is consistency there, and that's what we look for. That's really what we look for. And on top of all that, like we mentioned, with a low pressure system this strong, and that amount of instability, there's going to be some really strong winds. Not just on the ground, but also in the upper atmosphere too. And you can see here, looking at the lower level winds, we're going to have some pretty strong winds. Out there, you have this whole line of instability and unstable air from GFS. Once again, don't take this with a grain of salt. This is just one model run, one model. But, you can see that we do have a pretty good amount of instability, really digging its way up into the country here. And, overlapping all of that here, too, you can see that we do have ourselves, some pretty strong lower level winds, which if you know or if you don't, that could be a tornado problem. Really strong lower level winds like that, especially, changing directions, slightly more to the northeast with altitude can definitely create that to be an issue, for tornadic activity. Blue says, it takes one of these extremely low dipping systems to combine with some April-May type of thermodynamics to get monster outbreaks. Yeah, between the kinematics, strong wind shear from a deep trough like you're talking about, and like you mentioned, the thermodynamics with a lot of instability, steep lapse rates and stuff, of course, will definitely they could contribute to some pretty nasty weather. But we'll see. Once again, this is still several days out. This is about a week out. It is about a week out. Which obviously, a week out, it's kind of pushing it. You guys know me. If you've been around my channel for a while, and you probably heard me say this a lot, and you've probably seen it firsthand, I don't like to look too far out in the models, to be honest with you, just because of how much things change and, how uncertain things can be, while looking far out. But there is a time where you have, you know, a lot of consistency like we're having here between these models, like the GFS and, you know, the European model now. You know, the fact that we're getting multiple different models and several model runs of each model continuously supporting this system, that's confidence. That is pure confidence right there. So, you know, with that being said, you know, that's why we're really talking about that right now. But anyways, yeah, we'll keep you guys updated. And like we mentioned, you know, we'll make sure to keep you guys in the loop with everything. And tomorrow, like we've been doing the last several days, we're going to make a video tomorrow. Just kind of let you guys know what we're in store for. You know, we'll talk about the latest outlooks and stuff like that whenever we get those information tomorrow. So we'll do a video tomorrow. We'll do another live stream tomorrow night as well, in order to give you guys some information on everything. So just know I'm here for you. You know, we're here for you guys. We're going to keep you all updated during this mess. And once again, we'll make sure to keep you guys updated with everything going on here. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw it down to the chat. It'll be greatly appreciated, and I'll be more than happy to help you guys if y'all have any questions regarding this. If not, then we're probably going to call it soon. I mean, we pretty much threw down everything we really needed to talk about in this live stream. I mean, like I mentioned, we don't have any direct SPC risk areas as of right now. Once we get those, then we'll do zip codes and stuff. So we're going to hold off on zip codes for tonight. Once again, it's too early to be specific, but we're just this is more of a general update, you know, for the general central eastern country. Just letting you guys know that we're definitely monitoring a system here for next week that could be problematic in both the front of severe weather and winter weather and whatnot too. Let's see here. Ben says the pressure on that low next week is insane. Yeah, I mean, a lot of models are suggesting, you know, 980 and even 970 millibar range. You know, that's quite a strong low. That is definitely quite a strong low for sure. Absolutely. And you know, we'll have to see. We'll have to see, you know, how that plays out. You know, once again, models could start trending another way. You know, I'm not saying they will. You know, so far there's been a lot of consistency, so that's always a good sign. And, you know, making sure that, you know, just kind of looks like everything's still on board. You know, here's the GFS latest run here for 18 Zulu, suggesting that central low possibly getting down into the 970s. Wow, even the 960s there for a brief period of time. That's crazy. Euro, on the other hand, yeah, maybe upper 970s. Yeah. You can kind of see that long line of potential storms there from Euro. Yeah, there's a lot of consistency here. For sure. But anyways, my friends, well, that's going to be a last call for questions. If y'all have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. But once again, just a little too early to be specific, you know, to look at the exact areas and stuff. And, you know, whenever SPC does issue those risks, we'll make sure to let you all know. And once again, tomorrow we will be doing a video for you guys sometime in the morning or afternoon. We'll have that up for you. And then, of course, once again in the evening, we'll do another live stream like this one, just to, you know, keep you guys up to date throughout the next several days and until we get to the event here. And then, of course, once the event's here, we'll see about doing coverage for it and stuff. And then, of course, we'll just keep you guys in the loop for everything. Okay? But anyways, folks, well, I really want to say thank you all for joining. I appreciate it. Once again, we're going to cut it off a little bit early tonight because, you know, like we mentioned, we pretty much talked about everything we really can at the moment. You know, it's just, right now it's just kind of a waiting game to see how the models continue to react over the next few days. And, of course, you know, how the Storm Prediction Center handles this and, you know, what they do. You know, and if they decide that they're going to issue those risks at whatever point. So, you know, until then, we'll just keep you guys updated with what we know, and we'll make sure to continue to give you guys those updates that you need. Alrighty? If you haven't already, guys, consider leaving a like, hit that subscribe button, and most importantly, if you guys could help share this channel, it'll be greatly appreciated. We are almost to 30,000 subscribers. Once again, everybody, thank you so much for all your support. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate you. But, alrighty, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining. Jazz says, thanks for looking out for everyone, Andrew. Of course, anytime. Glad to be here. Glad to help out. You know, once again, tomorrow we'll be doing a video. We'll be doing another live stream tomorrow as well, just to give you guys the latest info. But, Alrighty, everybody. Well, the stream's going to head off here in approximately 2 minutes. So go ahead and say goodbye to your friends, your family, anybody you're hanging out with in the chat. Once again, everybody, thank you for joining. Once again, thank you all for joining. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. April says 1 minute. I thought the pressure from the potential storm system next week was down to 937. No, definitely not that low. Gee, I don't even know if that's possible. That would be something else, man. Anyways, no, definitely not 937. I think it was 967 or 968. That's still very low, though, for being just a low out in the central country. That's pretty low. Anyways, thanks, Binksy. I appreciate it. But anyways, everybody, thank you so much for joining. You guys have a wonderful rest of your night. We'll catch you guys tomorrow for more updates. Subscribe if you haven't already. Go ahead and leave a like on your way out. Be greatly appreciated. And all right, everybody, thanks for joining. We'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.